Hello everyone and welcome back for another episode of Indie Impressions. My name is Nick and today we're going to be checking out Woodle Adventures by Chubby Pixel Games. This is a 3D action platformer, so I'm picturing something sort of like a Banjo-Kazooie or Mario 64, but without a ton of the extra frills, but you know, going extra heavy on the cute art style and very accessible gameplay from what I've heard. So this is available on Desser for $1.99. They have a greenlight page and are hoping to get a few votes. So I'm going to see how this game is. It looks great. And I have to say, I was contacted by the developer, sent me an email on this one. They put 2 screenshots in the email. I'm like, alright, I'm in. This looks great. Pretty easy to convince, I guess, when it comes to gameplay like this. So let's actually start it up and see what we've got going on. It looks like we've got a bunch of different worlds here. They're sort of showing the overlay of like what you might end up going through in the game. You know, different nature-esque environments. I think it probably would be involving nature to some extent, considering we play as a log. How are you, my little son? Just born from my roots, I gave you life for a purpose. You have to bring water to this thirsty world. Alright. I am using a 360 controller, by the way, in case you're wondering. I was told in the menu that it is better to do that. To do this, you have to collect fairies' tears. It is said that picking up as many as you can, you'll even be able to discover a new world. Here, I'll show you one of them. Come and take it. Alright, we'll do. So, let me get a handle on the controls here. It looks like the camera actually seems to control itself, which I wasn't expecting. Let's see if that changes in a moment. This is the house I've built for you. From there you'll be able to travel across the land. Inside you will find 2 items that will be precious in your quest. Alright, well there's one. That wasn't quite inside. With this rucksack you can collect berries. You'll need to find and eat them to survive. Upstairs you find the magic leaf that you can use as defense by pressing B or E and travel across the land simply by hitting those buttons, I suppose. Do a B and E. Oh man, Dane Cook jokes. With this rucksack, you can collect berries. Yeah, we know. Alright. So let's travel across the land by going to this magical globe. I think that sounds like a good way to start. Press B on it. And here we go. So we're off into our first land to explore. Yeah, really taken back by the fact that I can't move the camera around. I was really expecting that to be a thing. Because this is a little bit constrictive. But my first impression generally is, I mean, I love the art style to this game. It's really cute. It's really just like, I don't even know like how to express why it's so cute to me, but it just seems like really well done, reasonably polished. I didn't even know if that guy was bad. I thought maybe I could talk to him. Look at a piece of candy corn or an ice cream cone or something. There's like a kiddie pool here with water running out of it. Alright, I can go down there. So let's check out this little hut. Got a couple more collectibles, or those are the berries, right? Can't quite fit in there. Maybe we get a power to shrink down later or something. It's far too infrequent that I see games with gameplay like this. Oh, I just killed that happy caterpillar. I've always been looking for, like, why aren't there more 3D platformers like Banjo-Kazooie for the PC? It seems like a relatively untapped market. I know there are a few that have attempted the formula, but for the most part they've been, like, generally not so good, in my experience of the ones that I've run into, and I can't even think of a good example off the top of my head. I'm sure there's probably a couple of decent ones, but in general, it seems like this formula is rather hard to replicate. Requires quite a bit of time invested, I suppose. It does help that we're playing a Unity game. It seems like a lot of the engine stuff is already worked out right from the start. We've got some nice lighting effects, some nice shading effects. Whoa, what is this guy doing? He needs to get out of here. The effect when you kill those guys doesn't seem all that well done. It seems like they just sort of vanish, which is sad. There's not much impact to this attack either, but I mean, you are waving a leaf around, so how much impact do you want? I don't know, I guess it depends how far we want to go with the idea that we can attack people with a leaf. I mean, the platforming seems like it's probably just fine. There's a sense of friction when you're walking, and then you get a little bit more free movement when you jump, which is probably a good idea, to give you the ability to actually jump to lengths that actually make sense. What is this thing down here? I don't like the way this thing's stepping around. feel like we're in some sort of magical Pokemon land a little bit. I mean, wasn't there a Pokemon that was just basically like a stump? Sudowoodo? Is that it? Maybe that's what I'm thinking. Whoa, why am I'm flipping upside down. What's going on here? I think I broke the game, but I kind of like that I broke it because it's silly. I'm jumping on my head now. I don't like that guy. What's this? Let's see if I... Oh, I flipped back over. Oh, well, whatever it is gone. Well, whatever goes on here, I'm not going to get too incredibly critical about it. I mean, it's a $2 game. I'm thinking already, like, generally, it seems like it's got its heart totally in the right place, but there's probably a bit of work that needs to be done in polish. The art style is, like I said, quite well done, but I think that some of the details need to be put together a little better. I was hoping for a little bit more cohesion, like the animation to feel a little bit tighter. I'm not sure where I just went there, and the fact that the camera isn't movable is really strange to me. It seems like that would have been the easier thing to do for everyone involved. Like, not only does the player feel better because they have better control of what's going on, but then the developer also doesn't have to script in a million rotation points around, you know, structuring the camera in a way that makes it reasonable for the player to see what they're doing. This jumping bug, is this even a bug? I don't know, it's pretty silly though, but if you just jump a bunch of times consecutively, your animation keeps looping to the point where you just start to flip over, and eventually you are just completely flipped over, until it seems to reach the point where you're just bouncing on your head, and then it just stops. Alright, so we've got a fairy's tear, appears to be following us around. And I know that's what I need to get to proceed further in. The water doesn't have any kind of inertia to it, so if you stand in the water, you're not really in any great danger there. See, right now, I would like to rotate my camera around. Oh, I just realized there's a run button. I kind of didn't notice that. Alright, well, that might help us get a little bit better jumping in and done. I really like the idea of the game. I mean, the fact that there's a bunch of explorable worlds, lots of collectibles, stuff to find, all seems really good, but it seems like the AI is sort of just hanging out for the most part. But then again, this is the first level, so maybe things will ramp up in difficulty later on. And it does take a little bit of the effect out of having this big, rather open world when you can't really just look around it freely. Like, you can only... Oh, wow, I just fell off that edge there. You can only just sort of play it in the ways that it decided you're going to play it. You know, you can only see the parts it wants you to see at this given moment. I wonder if there are more powers to get as you proceed further into the game. Wow, see, I couldn't even tell if that was a spot that I should watch out for or not. The perspective there just messed me up. I forgot these somehow. Is there like a thing counting up? No, it doesn't appear like it. Alright, looks like I got a little carried away or something and apparently pressed a few too many buttons, and it ended up just dropping me off at the desktop, which is one of those things I've expressed a number of times. I really, really hate when that happens. Just please, if you're going to quit the game, just give us a single prompt to say if you continue doing what you're doing, you're about to quit the game. Because that is not what I was intending on doing. I was honestly just looking through the menus, and I don't know, but maybe I hit escape. Oh, wow, so I got that tier, and now I have access to another level already. I wasn't expecting that at all. Alright, well, that's cool. I guess we'll get to see some different geometry. This level definitely seems to be laid out a little bit with higher emphasis on platforming, which 3D platforming can be hit or miss. I'm not sure, like, that thing with the flipping over guy, like, I'm not sure how that's possible that it wasn't noticed if it's a bug, so I'm wondering if it was intentional. Because, I mean, when do you ever just not jump many times in a row in a game like this? It seems to happen constantly. And maybe that's the case. Maybe it is just a bug. This game is still, maybe still somewhat early in development, or still has a few things to polish. I figured those tiles were going to drop. And if that's the case, no harm done, you know, just fix that in the next bug patch or something. If it is intended, I don't quite understand it. But I guess no big deal. I mean, I don't really understand the concept of being a log and running around looking for fairy tears either, but, you know, we get over that because it's a video game and, you know, suspension of disbelief and all of that. Another thing this reminds me of aesthetically quite a bit is this game called Elo Milo, which I'm not sure if a lot of you guys have heard of. It's not, I don't think it was a super popular game. It was like a puzzle game, came out on Xbox Live Arcade. I don't know if it ever made its way to PC. Maybe it did. If it did, I apologize, I'm not sure. But I didn't actually play it on that. I only played it on the Xbox. Very cute aesthetic in that one as well, and had like tons and tons of blocks made out of fabric textures. It also kind of reminded me of Little Big Planet quite a bit. Conservation of momentum there just killed me. I didn't mean to actually fall off of that. I just happened to keep walking after I landed for whatever reason. Oh, see, I did it again. I'm holding down run because I kind of want to move things along, but at the same time, you know, 3D platforming and running, like I said before, can be a pretty big enemy. Let's go down here instead. So I really just wanted to see how many of these little peach things that I had to collect when I was looking at the menu before, but it doesn't appear like it seems to keep track of that anywhere, anywhere obvious anyway. I don't know what that guy's supposed to be. He's gone now. It's too bad that the character doesn't have a slightly greater sense of like physical interaction with the world, like kind of hard to describe exactly what I mean, but like a tactile response to the way that you touch surfaces. It seems like he's sort of floating along most of the time. I was kind of hoping for, you know, Mario 64 style, that if you bump into a wall, you know, it's not just your collision boxes smashing together, that there would actually be some sort of like a kickback, or maybe some, you know, physics-based moves to give the platforming a little bit more depth. I mean, granted, as it is, I think it's probably towards the upper level of, like, well done as far as, like, beginner-style platforming games. Like, this is probably quite suitable for a younger child, and I think that's probably what the developer had in mind. I don't think this was really, you know, super adult or mature content in any given direction. It's just sort of a fun, lighthearted platformer. Might appeal to different demographics, and in fact, I don't really think it's all that bad. It's just, it's figuring out exactly where this should be marketed to. That's just got me wondering, is all. But, you know, I play all kinds of games. I don't really care if it's for kids. If it's fun, I'll play it anyway. Oh, see, this keeps happening. Every time I fall off these ledges, I have this little bit of leftover momentum, which just seems to knock me off. Thankfully, there doesn't appear to be any penalties for death at all. I mean, you just respawn at either the beginning of the level or some checkpoint, it seems. See, like right there, for whatever reason, just decided to checkpoint me there. That would have been a good thing to know, like if there is maybe some sort of a coin or like a symbol or a flag or something you run into that says, okay, you're now checkpointed for this spot. And, you know, this spot right here is a little bit misleading, because you would think, based on the way this is set up, that you should be very easily able to simply just traverse down this. But if you have any kind of momentum left over at all, you're going to end up just kind of running off that ledge to your death. I'm not sure what to do with this thing, because these rings keep knocking me down. And then I keep starting over again. I keep thinking that I can just sort of trust the rings to, like, lead me where they're trying to take me, but it seems like they just end up killing me, so... thankfully, the levels are not particularly long or drawn out or, you know, overly complex. I'm sort of able to just traverse them again in a matter of moments. Maybe I should just avoid these rings entirely. Well, okay, whatever. I got to the other side this time. Alright, cool. Made my way around. There's the rock guy. Everything's one-hit kills, too, which is a little surprising. I mean, granted, there's no penalty for death, as I was just saying, but in a game like this, you would think it would be like Banjo-Kazooie style or Crash Bandicoot style, where they give you a few hits, at least. Or even like Mario 64, I think, was a pretty elegant solution. Then, you know, you could run out of health if you don't pick up anything, you know, any coins. They sort of use, like, the Sonic's rings method combined with, like, Halo's regenerating health at times. I always thought it was kind of funny that you could exploit the health system in Mario 64 by just going underwater. I mean, they must have intended that because it was really easy to figure out, but, like, at the same time, it seems like a pretty big deal to be able to just break the health system completely. Then again, I don't think a lot of people would really say that was the most difficult game they've ever played until you get to some of the optional parts towards the end, which were definitely on the harder side. It's a little morbid here. There seems to be spikes all over the ceiling. I was trying to just avoid running into them. No harm done. Looks like we've gotten past that impediment. Now, because of this perspective, I'm not exactly sure what I can or can't walk around. The ground area is not exactly obvious when you're at this angle, like when the camera is all the way down to the ground, and then the wall is the same color as the floor. Look, your shadow just goes right over the edge, and you have no idea where the collision even ends there. I mean, you can tell where these blocks begin, but it's not really to say that you're necessarily going to land on those blocks because, you know, your depth perception is limited by the fact that you're looking at the game through a monitor. So unless there's like a 3D mode for Woodle Tree, which I don't believe there is, you're going to have a little tricky time with the camera here. Again, I've seen plenty worse games when it comes to the camera, but I just really would have preferred having the ability to control my own fate when it comes to that. As a general rule, I almost like never really feel like there's a lot of reasons to just take the camera control away from the player. Granted, one of those exceptions would be a game like Silent Hill, where, you know, the shots are actually framed strategically for like artful reasons or for, you know, to set up story elements. Games like this don't really have that issue, or I should say don't need to adapt to that sort of a thing generally. So I've picked up quite a few fairy tears here, and we're going to keep proceeding. Oh wow, okay, there's the camera. So I don't know what's up with these rings. So this time they don't seem to intersect with me or collide with me as they were before. Unless I just misread what was going on there. Maybe I did, and I was running into something completely different. Alright, cool. I got all the fairy tears, dropped them off at their little pedestal. And it looks like I've solved that world possibly entirely. Maybe it'll open up a new one now. Yeah, I think that's what happened. So now we've got this one over here. I still never solved the first one entirely, but let's just head on to this one, and then we'll probably wrap it up after that. As far as I remember, I believe they said there were 6 distinct worlds to check out. And given the length of them, I was actually expecting them to be quite a bit longer. But I'm guessing this game can probably be finished in under an hour, which for $1.99 is not too bad. I mean, it's relatively compact, bite-sized little 3D platformer. I guess when I just saw the art style and I saw the premise, from what I kind of assumed was the premise in my mind anyway, I was figuring it was much more expansive or fully realized, but it wasn't until I realized the game was, you know, $1.99 on Desera. You know, probably looking at a slightly different scale for the game. But I do see potential here. I definitely think this is a solid start for the developer. I don't know if this is his first game or not. If it is, props. This is definitely better than I could do. If it's not, I mean, it's not bad still. I think there's a lot of really solid ground here that you could use towards a further game if you wanted to continue to build a series around this character, because I don't know why, I just find it very appealing. I don't know about this ice cream candy cone guy. Candy corn cone. He's not my favorite enemy, but some of the other ones are pretty interesting. They actually look like they have a pretty cohesive art style. They could probably live just fine in their own world together. Nothing seems especially jarring from an art perspective. It sort of seems like everything does meld. I definitely work on those death animations, though, or giving them some, like, physical attributes when they fall. Like, if I don't want to use the word ragdoll here because that's not the right thing to describe, but if you made it look like they were interacting with the ground around them a little bit better, I think that would go to serve to make the game feel a little bit more tangible, which is, I think, when you're making a game that is really very visceral like this, you really want to emphasize these tactile responses of the player's interaction with the world. I mean, you want to know that, like, when you're walking on this grass, it feels like grass under your feet, to the extent that, you know, a log walking on grass could feel like. Hopefully you get what I'm trying to say. You know, throw some grass particles coming out, make sure it's got a nice crunchy sound or grass sound coming out of it. Make sure the enemies all have distinct sounds to them as well. Ambient, you know, sounds in general go a pretty long way to making what feels like a living, breathing world, in my opinion. Wait, what is this? I felt like I just did a double jump there. Oh, okay. That's a strange way to go through this. I'm sure to find my way up. Can I swim in this? I don't think I can. No. Alright, so this is a very awkward camera moment here, because the camera needs to pan out a bit more. And unless I'm just missing it... Yeah, no, I did try all the buttons, just making sure. Yeah, there doesn't seem to be a way to set that up. So now I'm in a position where I can't actually see any of the platforms behind me, which is generally pretty bad. I mean, ideally I'd like to be able to look on the other side of these. Okay, well, it was right there, but I kind of forgot how close it was which led to a pretty cheap death. Okay, so the camera's way too close now. I get what you're going for, and I want to be able to see where I'm going, but at the same time, I need a little bit more context than that. Alright, what's going on over here? This seems to be a dead end. Oh, what happened? Am I... Oh, I think I'm traversing the interior of this through the other side? I have so little idea what's going on. I'm just gonna fall to my death, because I don't know what I just did. Do I, like, lose my... Oh, geez, the camera's all screwed up now. Do I lose my tears when I fall? I don't think I do. No, they're still there. Oh, was this where I was supposed to be a moment ago? I'm really confused as to where I actually ended up at this point. It seems like he's almost grabbing onto ledges occasionally, which is kind of strange. Oh, and there seems to be an invisible wall in the foreground, which I wasn't expecting either. If I'm going straight at the camera right now, I'm locked here. I mean, you can see there's like a shadow, but it's not really readily apparent that this is where I can no longer move forward, which it's also strange considering there's more ground there that actually breaks that point. I figure if you're going to make this like virtual glass pane in front of us, it should be consistently across the same plane, going all the way across the, the landscape horizontally. But I don't know what's going on here. I seem to have broken the camera or something. I don't really seem to have a very good grasp of where I'm able to go at this point. Yeah, this is kind of falling apart. I hate to say it. Woodle Tree Adventures, man, it's a cool game, and I really see a lot of promise in it, but it's a little hard to recommend it at this juncture when I'm having so much trouble with, like, glitches and stuff. I easily would see getting behind this game, though, with a few updates and patches. I think this could actually shape up pretty freaking nicely, so highly recommended to the developer if you do want to continue. I don't know where you are in development for this, if it's totally finished or what, but if it's not, let me know when you've added a couple more patches. I'd be happy to check this one out again. And I feel a little bad that I couldn't give it like a wholehearted recommendation, because it definitely has a great art style, and I definitely see some promise in it. Just might need a little bit of more polishing. Anyway, I'm probably going in circles at this point, so we're going to wrap up Woodle Tree Adventures. Hopefully you got the point from everything I was describing there. The download or purchase link will be available in the description for the video, so feel free to check that out if you'd like. Since it's on Desera, I believe that means that there is a mandatory demo. I didn't actually check that out myself, but if there is, then definitely give it a try yourself, see what you think about it. The camera issues can be a bit of a game stopper, unfortunately, but like I said, a few patches, maybe all that stuff could be taken care of. So that is going to do it for this one. Make sure you head on over to my website, which is indie-impressions.com, so you can check out all the new and old videos in the series. There are now over 370 at this point, all sorted by genres, distribution methods, by payment style, so if you want to just browse all the free ones, that is something you can definitely do over there. Okay, there, I can get up on that, and then see the camera just keeps getting blocked by those rocks. I'm not sure what's up with that. But yeah, other than the website though, indie-impressions.com, head on over to the Facebook page, which is facebook.com/indieimpressions. If you'd like to leave a like on that, you'll get every day's new video delivered into your Facebook stream, and then you can stay up on everything new with the channel, as well as, news updates and possible game giveaways. I do those occasionally. I'm trying to do them more frequently, but just been super busy lately. I'm going to try and get around to that again real soon. Oh wow, I seem to have made my way up and out of that quagmire. But yeah, other than the Facebook page, I also have a Twitter handle if you want to say hey. It's at RockLeeSmile. All my social media links are right in the description as well, so feel free to browse those. And if you're an indie developer and you'd like to request me to possibly cover your game on the show, quickest way to reach me is to use the contact form on the website, indie-impressions.com, and get in touch with me. I'd be happy to check out what you got going on and start a dialogue. So that is going to do it. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you come back again tomorrow for an awesome indie game, and I will see you then. Have a good night.